The night the boy appeared on her porch, Clara Wilson thought she was imagining things. The wind howled through the cracked wooden beams of her small farmhouse, rattling the loose tin roof like it might tear free and fly into the dark Oklahoma sky. Clara had just finished washing the last plate from a dinner meant for one, when she heard a soft knock, barely louder than the rain tapping against the door. She froze. No one ever came out here after sunset. The town was miles away, and most folks had forgotten the poor widow who lived on the edge of the prairie with nothing but an aging mule and memories of a husband buried 10 years too early. Another knock came, this time shakier, almost desperate. Clara wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders and opened the door just a crack. A child stood there. He couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. His clothes were soaked through, clinging to his thin frame, mud caked along the hem of his pants. His hair was dark, plastered to his forehead, and his eyes, those eyes, were wide with fear and exhaustion. "Ma'am," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Please, I'm lost." Clara didn't ask questions. She didn't hesitate. She opened the door wide and pulled him inside as if he were her own flesh and blood. That was the moment everything changed. She dried him with the last clean towel she owned, wrapped him in one of her late husband's old shirts, and set him by the fire. The boy barely spoke. He just stared into the flames as if afraid they might disappear too. "What's your name?" Clara asked gently. "Eli," he said after a long pause. No last name. No explanation. Just a child who looked like he'd been running from something far bigger than the storm outside. That night, Eli slept on Clara's bed while she took the old rocking chair near the fire. She didn't sleep at all. She watched his chest rise and fall, listening to the rain fade into silence, wondering where his parents were, and whether they were even alive. Morning came soft and pale, the prairie stretching endless and quiet beyond the windows. Eli was already awake, sitting upright, as if afraid to lie down too long. Clara made him cornbread and warm milk. He ate like someone who hadn't seen a real meal in days. When she gently asked where he came from, his hands tightened around the cup. "I don't know," he said. "I just kept walking." She knew trauma when she saw it. Life had taught her that much, so she didn't push. Days turned into weeks. No one came looking. Clara walked to town twice, asking discreet questions, scanning faces, listening for rumors of a missing child. Nothing. No posters. No sheriffs asking around. No frantic parents. It was as if Eli had fallen out of the sky, and slowly, without either of them saying it out loud, he became hers. She mended his clothes, taught him how to collect eggs from the neighbors' hens in exchange for chores, showed him how to read using her husband's old books. At night, she told him stories by firelight, and sometimes he'd fall asleep with his head resting against her arm. He started calling her Mama one evening without realizing it. When he did, Clara turned her face away so he wouldn't see the tears. They were poor, painfully so. Some winters, Clara skipped meals so Eli wouldn't have to. She patched shoes with scraps of leather, traded sewing for flour, and prayed over every penny. But Eli grew strong. He had a sharp mind and an old soul. He worked hard without complaint, protected Clara like a little guard dog, and stared out at the horizon some evenings as if part of him was still searching. Years passed. Eli was 12 when the black carriage rolled into town. It didn't belong. People stopped in the street to stare as polished wheels cut through dust, and 2 powerful horses slowed near the general store. The man who stepped down wore a tailored coat, boots without a speck of dirt, and a hat that probably cost more than Clara's house. A millionaire cowboy. Everyone knew the type. Land barons, cattle kings, men who owned more acres than they could count and lived half the year in cities most townsfolk would never see. His name was whispered before anyone even confirmed it. James Callahan, the richest ranch owner in 3 counties. And he was asking questions. "Has anyone seen a boy?" he said calmly. Dark hair, blue-gray eyes, about 12 years old. Clara felt the fear before she understood it. Eli was outside chopping wood when the carriage stopped in front of her farmhouse that evening. He froze when he saw the man step down. Something unspoken passed over his face, recognition mixed with panic. "Eli," Clara said softly. "Do you know him?" The boy shook his head too fast. James Callahan walked forward, his gaze locked on the child as if the rest of the world had disappeared. He stopped a few feet away. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the millionaire cowboy removed his hat. Son, he said quietly, his voice breaking despite himself. I've been looking for you for 6 years. Clara's heart slammed against her ribs. Eli stepped back, bumping into her skirts. I'm not your son, he whispered. James swallowed hard. You are, he said. Your name is Elijah Callahan. And you were taken from me. The truth spilled out slowly, painfully. Eli's mother had died young. James had trusted a caretaker while he was away on business, trusted the wrong person. Greed had twisted into cruelty. The child had been abandoned miles away, left to vanish so no one would ask questions. By the time James realized his son was missing, the trail had gone cold. Until now, Clara felt the world tilt. This man, this powerful, wealthy stranger, was here to take her child. Because that's what Eli was. Hers. I won't go, Eli said, his voice cracking as he clutched Clara's hand. She's my mama. James looked at Clara then, really looked at her. At the worn dress. The calloused hands. The fierce love in her eyes. You raised him, he said softly. Yes, Clara replied, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. I did. The millionaire nodded. Then he did something no one expected. He knelt, right there in the dirt. You saved my son's life, James said. You gave him love when I couldn't find him. I won't take him away from the only mother he knows. Clara stared, stunned. I'm asking, he continued, not demanding. Let him know who I am. Let him choose. Eli didn't hesitate. I want both, he said. And in that moment, something fragile but powerful was born. James arranged for Eli to spend time at the ranch while keeping Clara close. He built her a new home on the edge of his land, made sure she never worried about food again, and insisted she be part of every decision. People whispered, some with envy, some with admiration. But Clara didn't care. She watched the boy she raised grow into the man he was meant to be, without losing the heart she had nurtured. Years later, when Eli stood tall beside his father, ready to inherit an empire, he still came home every evening to sit by Clara's fire. Because blood may start a story, but love is what finishes it.